Peter, when you're thinking about starting a small group for the year, what are some thoughts that go through your mind?
So we have to start thinking about small groups as like a plan and to be prepared. And so that first meeting is unbelievably strategic. And, depending on, the personality of your group and the way your group operates, you're really setting the tone for the year. And so as much as we want to give you some insights and wisdom and advice, part of being a great leader is understanding your group. So as you listen to this, you might say, well, that works for my group and that doesn't work for my group. But I want you just to get to the key important point. The way your first meeting goes is going to set the tone for the rest of the year. And if you think with the end in mind, so let's say your small group runs from September to June. Think about the end in mind. Where do we want to be as a group? Where, me as a leader, where am I hoping that God does work in my life, but in our group's life? So I think some things that we're going to be talking about in different trainings, you think about authenticity, you think about serving. We can't just bring those things up once and expect that they're going to go well. We have to think through those. So I just want to give you a couple thoughts about your first meeting. Whether you're an existing small group that took the summer off, or whether you're a brand new group, here's some things to keep in mind. And these are like extremely practical and tactical. So the first thing is this. I think before you get to the meeting, number one is pray. Asking God to lead you. God, where do you want to take this group? God, what do you want to do in me? I think the second thing, and this goes together, but is really to set the schedule and even set the roles of your group. And here's why I think that's important, because I think sometimes as groups we get surprised. So when I think about schedules, I think about, hey, are we gonna meet in December because Christmas is crazy? Hey, who's going on vacations and things like that? And even when we talk about roles, later on we're gonna talk about delegating. I know of one small group that the leader actually had a piece of paper each group where people could sign up for, checking in on the kids every 15 minutes, bringing snack the next week, praying. And so you think about this, your first meeting, you want to set those expectations. And the last thing about preparing for that first meeting is think of setting the roles in the schedule more as, think of it more as you're trying to help people edit something rather than a proposal. It's saying, hey, I know it's really hard to create, so I want to start something that gives us a conversation.
Yeah, I think it's always good to set the stage, and you're helping people know what to expect for the next year. People, they're scared when they come to your group for the first time, so your job is to help them know, what is this going to be like, and what are people going to be like?
And I think you bring up a great point. I was talking big picture for the calendar, but even what you're talking about there, like, what is each group going to be like? And so you think about it like, if you say that you're going to be an hour and a half long, you're going to have 15 minutes of fellowship, 30 to 40 minutes of Bible discussion, and then you're going to pray. Like, if you say your group's going to end at 8:30 and you end 8:45 every week, there's some people that are okay with that, but there's other people that that's not their expectation. So in this first meeting, you really want to set that. But also, if for some reason your group veers a little bit, you've had this discussion before and it's not coming out of nowhere. Andrew, I've been talking a lot about, existing small groups, but I'm sure that there's some viewers out there that are watching this that they're about to go into their first small group. What insight do you have for them, and what would you want them to know about leading their first small group meeting with a new small group?
Yeah, so if you're leading for the first time and people in your group may or may not know each other, your first night is going to be all about building relationships. You want to help people feel like they get to know the other people around them, and also that it's going to be a fun time and an exciting time, and you want them to leave something to look forward to. And Peter said you want to end on time. I would say make sure you end right on time, and then leave moments for people just to have discussions. And the whole point of our groups are to get to know each other, to grow closer to Jesus, and your first group really does set the stage.
But as we talk about the first group meeting, besides going through the tactical things, I really think it's important for us to think about asking the group where they want to grow this next year. So I think that happens on two levels. That happens on a personal level for you as a leader and the member, but that happens as a group too. So, what I try to do, in our first group of the year is I ask the question, where do you want to grow personally in following Jesus? And that just allows people not to give advice or like to kind of tell people what to do, but that actually allows you to pray and encourage people. So if I know someone wants to grow in their giving to the church and we're talking about money and they say, hey, I just started tithing or I just started giving regularly, that's a point to encourage and for a group to be self-aware. And I think as a group level, you know, if I hear a lot of small groups talk about, hey, let's go deeper and we're going to talk about authenticity, I think it's really important that when someone says something that's really, deep and profound for their life, that you set the stage and say, that's a win, like, let's call that out. And so by doing that in the first meeting, you're finding out where everyone is, but you're also giving people a moment to invest in the group.
I think that's helpful.
Well, hey, this is our first video, and we're looking forward to journeying with you in small groups.